Hello, I'm your host, Crafty Andy, and this is Crafty Arts. Well, this is for Crafty Arts, but I figure I need a little buffer between inevitably painting up Sonic and then going straight into the Ratchet and Clank piece. So this one's been bothering me for a while. I felt like I needed to actually ink it up and do it. And tomorrow I'm going to be working on the Northman project. A little commentary on the movie Northman and kind of poking fun at some of the crowds. I also want to do some commentary on some of the shitty reviews it got. I'm sure there's plenty of those too. Let's get started. This is a good opportunity to also promote the actual channel, Crafty Arts, so get you a glimpse of what goes on there.
Hello, Deep Fat Fried. I'm Crafty Andy, and besides sucking dick and fucking that ass, my talents include making pictures.
And I'm going to be painting your boobies pink and righty. And then what else we're gonna do here?
How's my favorite Goomba? Andy, Crafty Andy.
Okay, you scared the shit out of me there, Dr. Corpo.
How is the commission coming along that I'm paying you for?
Commission? What do you mean commission? You're not paying me for this.
Exposure, Mr. Andy. Exposure is what I'm paying you with. Now tell me, what is the progress on our latest advertisement?
Well, it's roughly about 25% done.
100% done and ready to go on display, you say?
No, you don't understand. We're going to have to delay this at least a few more weeks.
Well, that is a funny joke, Mr. Andy. Allow me to introduce to you my latest genetically altered assistant, Backfire. Backfire?
Are those fists?
So I expect this poster to be done.
No, you don't seem to understand this. We're going to have to delay this at least a few more weeks.
Well, that is unfortunate because you know what time it is now.
No.
Yes.
No. Please,
Oh,
no.
yes.
No. No.
Oh, yes. Yes, it's crunch time. You know the drill. No paid overtime, no opportunity to leave, else you're fired. And if you need a good cry, you have 5 minutes in a corner, and after that, it's zip right back to work. Now I am going to go off and Ubisoft some females, if you know what I mean. Well, Kate, thanks, bye.
Hundreds of hours a week of unpaid overtime, no seeing my family or friends, no sleep whatsoever. Well, it's work or die. Gotta do what you gotta do, am I right? Am I right?
I am Crafty Andy, and this is Crafty Arts, where we art. The nature of this episode definitely changed over time. I was going to talk about the Cyberpunk 2077 game itself and the work or die cultures that are around it.
Hey,
Did you hear about Cyberpunk? The game of the year, except the versions that are total junk.
But recent videos from Jim Sterling and Noodle changed the dynamic here, as well as how long this piece of art took to make, balancing a night job, weekly videos, and live streams at twitch.tv/CraftyAndyLive, and more events like the ones involving Activision and Blizzard abusing its workers. So here we go. I am in my mid-30s now. I doubt that I'll reach some skill level to be part of the major industries regarding movies and video games. Did I dodge a bullet though?
Does BioWare take the cake? Because during that game's 7-year-long development cycle, another term surfaced: stress casualty. In BioWare, the term refers to somebody who's, quote, had such a mental breakdown from the stress, they're just gone for a few months. The term actually comes from military documentation describing soldiers with early onset fucking PTSD.
This is likely a mental exercise to avoid overwhelming thoughts of regret, but understanding and accepting my go with the flow nature, what the hell would I have gotten out of being part of the major creative industry machine? Life After Pi is a great mini documentary that brings to light how animators in the movie industry are treated like shit. Studios have to relocate in order to win contracts as costs to produce effects and animation fluctuate. Animators face having to always rent out places and not own homes. Instances of layoffs and unpaid overtime if the movie studio hiring the company for the work wants any changes.
I've been on the staff of 5 visual effects shops that were really well known, did amazing work, that all went bankrupt, most of them owing the artist money. You know, you're constantly on the go, chasing which government's going to give the greatest handout back to the studios. I've taken to just living in hotels past few years, find it's a lot simpler. I got suitcases that were designed to fit in the trunk of my car, and it all layers in there. Yay, VFX. I got a king-size bed, I got a jacuzzi in my room. They have those little soaps that make me feel like I'm on vacation every day, and I love using those little soaps. I love the way they feel when you open them up. Rhythm and Hughes was like a new girl in my life. I fell in love again, you know what I mean? Then on a Friday meeting, I had my heart broken, just like I have a million times. And now I'm just this kind of strung out, gray-haired old bachelor.
What if I got into Disney, Pixar, or Blue Sky? Oh, that's right, Blue Sky Studios got shut down after Disney bought Fox. Alright, what are the chances and how long would I have to work at any of these places before even being given the chance to write up a story, much less direct one? I guess with something like HBO and Cartoon Network, I'd have more of a chance, but that depends what their focus is. HBO is already wanting to focus on little kids shows, which is why Infinity Train isn't renewed for another season. In industry terms, there are 3 main age demographics for children's animation: 2 to 5, 6 to 11, and 9 to 14. Cartoon Network used to be more friendly to the 9 to 14 demo than other cable networks, but has now mostly stopped and is instead trying to expand its preschool programming while keeping its 6 to 11 shows safe for even younger viewers, demanding formulaic play patterns for merchandising purposes. It seems like the AT&T merger and the needs of HBO Max may have hastened Cartoon Network's shift to preschool shows. Also, with China taking over primary share in the economy due to its population size mainly, minus the Uyghurs they're putting in internment camps, certain themes and ideas have to be curbed in order to kowtow to the culture's sensitivities regarding things like queers, for instance. China still lists homosexuality as a mental illness in their textbooks, and in Russia, you can be put in jail if the citizens don't murder you there first, and the officials.
Пристрелить, чем меня отправят куда-нибудь в подвал или еще куда-нибудь. Ну, то есть, нет, в тюрьму я не хочу.
В основном проблема какая, что с таким человеком, как Кирилл, и, скорее всего, срок ты свой не отсидишь, тебя просто убьют.
All that aside, the animation industry is still pigeonholed into either kids' entertainment or adult joke-a-thons. What are the chances in the industry of getting a chance to do something like Castlevania without a Kickstarter and team I convinced to join me? Then there's the game industry. Investigate all game companies, by the way. I'll never forget how blown away I was with StarCraft, created by Blizzard. I spent weeks saving nickels and dimes while going to the store just to look at the damn box. The lore found within the universe, the story within a genre of gaming that often didn't have much in the way of story, let alone characters you cared about. If I wasn't so fucking alone, fearful of my afterlife, and trying to conform to expectations of what kind of person I should be, I'd probably be $100,000 in student loan debt with a filming degree and no invites to projects. But maybe I could have been picked up by the gaming industry. An industry that scams artists through exposure, unpaid internships, nightmare work environments that still underpay its employees if they don't decide to later lay you off. A woman during a work party murdered herself after nude photos were passed around by coworkers at Blizzard. There's little doubt to these allegations as investigations happen due to the fact there is probable cause. There was an investigation over the course of 2 years that gathered evidence such as this. I've been in sales, call centers, retail, and machinery work environments. I think the closest to anything that I read in the reports was going to bars and strip joints after a work party with coworkers. So we got places with frat boyish mentalities in charge of them. Great. Rape jokes, cubicle crawls, workloads being neglected and dumped on less desirable staff. The woman, apparently. I've picked up on a lot of other stories of companies exploiting artists to work for exposure. This includes comic book publishers, which always seem on the brink of bankruptcy. Everyone that isn't Marvel and DC, that is, at least. I have a kid's book that is outlined, and I intend to have the first 2 pages inked and ready to mail out. I wonder what my chances are having knowing 0 in the industry and no agent. We'll see. Maybe my current YouTube numbers will suffice as recognition. Speaking of social popularity games, 16 years ago, I was informed that a lot of social high school dynamics don't really ever end in life. And he's right, they don't. Even in the world of streaming and YouTube, I feel like I'm the kid sitting alone at the lunch table in terms of my numbers. Can't really do much about that other than try to work hard and smart about it. Gotta make friends with established people, gotta figure out what's cool out there. Unless I am willing and able to just throw a bunch of money at Google and creators, essentially begging them to drive traffic to my pages. But who knows what being thrusted into fame early on would have given me. For every AVGN, there seems to be at least 10 crash and burn types. The what could have beens, going through the same motions of their creativity, never risking something new because the audience that currently gives them money might get mad. Fuck, people complain that Angry Nerd episodes were not coming out as fast because James Rolfe dares to spend time with his wife and daughter. Even others who don't crash, there are the types that just burn. American meme style.
That's just like how we are now. We're just like, what's hot? Someone make me laugh. Somebody do something awesome. Somebody be fucking crazy.
Saturday night I slept an hour. Sunday I slept 2 hours. And then Monday I slept 4. Then I posted that. I wanted to kill myself.
And this guy's no longer on any social media either.
A lot of people hit me up. They're like,
I tried looking for him after this documentary came out. It's just not there.
I'm like, oh, thank you. You really care about my well-being. It's really just a self-centered, I just want to get drunk with Kirill one time, then you can kill yourself. They don't even like talk to you. They're just like, oh, can I just get on the Snapchat? That's when you feel like a zoo animal. They don't really care about you.
The end game for these people, I think, is going to be sad. They're in the spotlight, but when it's done, and they're not equipped to do anything else in life. Like, where do you go? So you're getting paid however many thousands of dollars to show up and pour champagne on some chick's boobs. But what happens when you're 50 and no one wants you pouring champagne anywhere on them or even, like, breathing on them?
All hail the slut whisper.
Everyone gets old and ugly one day. You could just fucking drop dead at any moment. I've been losing more followers lately, and that's fine with me. I don't care. It's all bullshit in the end. I just more think about who's gonna show up at my funeral.
People think that the whole thing just kind of fell into my lap. And to be honest with you, I don't really care. At the end of the day, I'm doing better than most of them. The age of the digital influencer is like, I'm telling you, it's gonna fucking crash.
And this fat Jew is right. With all these next generation inspired wannabe influencers, how saturated is this market going to get? How many advertising dollars are going to be available when everyone decides to do a podcast? We're already seeing influencers who are all but grown in a lab, making ad campaigns disguised as videos you'd watch on the tube. How long before everything that isn't CNN and Fox isn't just relegated to the dark side of YouTube for those that haven't been established between 2006 to 2010? With maybe a few chosen that are elevated beyond obscurity by some big family-friendly creator who takes mercy on your Let's Plays of LEGO Lord of the Rings series.
Hi, what's going on, guys? So, I'm back with some more LEGO Lord of the Rings.
Could always buy fake subscribers. Often people don't watch a video over the fact the views are not that great. How much would I have to spend in order to make my channel look popular enough in order for it to be popular, I wonder? Whatever it is, someone like Abigail Shapiro can afford it, but I sure as hell can't.
Look, there's been a major marketing push behind her as of late. Like, I see ads for her shit.
Yeah.
You know, so like obviously some of the people that are backing him are also backing her, or maybe he's backing her personally. I don't know what the hell's going on, but it's clear that she wants in on the family business.
There's always that strong possibility that I may always be an obscure creator like Mustard Bus, spinning our wheels because we couldn't scrounge up a few $100,000 for ad revenue. Is this entire piece I've written out the equivalent of playing out my own real-life version of the Fox and the Grape story?
There's an ancient Greek fable where a fox wants some grapes, but he can't reach the vine. So he walks away bitterly and says, well, the grapes are transphobic anyway.
Mark Manson, author of The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck and We're All Fucked, a book about hope, has a few posted videos. How to be extraordinary, or not, and in defense of being average.
There are over 7.2 billion people on this planet. And really, only about 1,000 of those have major worldwide influence at any given time. That leaves the other 7,199,999,000, plus or minus, of us to come to terms with the limited scope of our lives and the fact that the vast majority of what we do will likely not matter long after we've died.
One of the biggest things that's sold to you in the self-help industry is that we all have this special, extraordinary thing inside us, and it's just waiting to get out. All you need to know is the secret to get it out of you. That unless you're doing something incredible with your life, then it's somehow wasted. I think this is bullshit. In fact, I think the problem isn't so much us. We've lost track of what normal, good human experience is actually like. First of all, most of us are going to be ordinary at the vast majority of things that we do. Second of all, even if you are able to lift 1,000 pounds off the ground or whatever, that doesn't necessarily make you a good father or a good friend or even a good person.
It must be easy though, being in a position of a popular best-selling author and having a money-making blog, to say that there is nothing wrong with being average. I don't want to be average. You fucking kidding me? But I guess that's my problem. You get inundated with all these promises. It gets better. The weirdos turn out fine. Eventually you have to come to the same conclusion Al Bundy does in regards to his own life.
But I'm not a loser. Because despite it all, me and every other guy who will never be what he wanted to be are still out there being what we don't want to be 40 hours a week for life. And the fact that I haven't put a gun in my mouth, you pudding of a woman, makes me a winner.
Chances are you'll be in the position of average like most people end up. At that point, you have to make a choice. To be bitter, take glee in watching public figures and those who do more than you fall on their face. Place yourself on some moral pedestal, dumping all your flaws and shortcomings on others. Or do what you can to the best of your abilities and limitations, making your own rules and measures of success along the way. If the writings you wanted to make never gets picked up, if your ideas never get funded, if your business fails, in the end, you'll know, regardless of how things turned out. You can take comfort having the ability to look back and say, at least I never gave up, motherfuckers! What was this about? Oh right, making a Nightmare Before Christmas cyberpunk crossover painting. I did pay to have this tweet promoted in order to garner more votes, and this is what y'all chose. I figured the name recognition would help, and the talk of Cyberpunk 2077, whether good or bad, would give it a boost. It probably won't, not at this point, I'm sure. Even as I release this close to October, and in order to try to build some content and have it ready ahead of time. That's okay though, I'll just move on to the next big project, Sonic the Hedgehog. Maybe I can finish that series before the second movie comes out. I don't have millions of dollars to buy fake followers and subs to make myself look popular in order to get popular, so share this around if you like, even if people that you know will hate it. Why not? Always expect weekly videos showcasing more artwork and thoughts on various topics. $2 a month's Patreon to see episodes like this early and high-res artwork to download along with a digital sketchbook, and that's it. And there we have it, another piece to wrap up in plastic and throw away in the closet. Of course, I'm actually digitally imposing the finished piece on here because as of filming this, it's not actually done yet. Needed a few delays. But other than that, if you want to see episodes like this early, join the Patreon. And I don't know what the next episode's gonna be, but when it is, I'll be sure to let you all know. Till then, Like, subscribe, share, give me ideas for topics and or art in the comments or email me. Crafty Andy Patreon for high-res art, files, and sketchbook, and early episodes. Also Crafty Andy under the Art Pal store for prints and art gallery. Streams on twitch.tv/CraftyAndyLive. Check for scheduling, gaming, art making, and live commentary. This channel's mainly focused on entertainment and art, but if you want some real weirdness, go to the Weirdzords channel. Check that out. There is also an invite in the description for our Discord group. You can meet other creators such as myself, live streamers, gamers, artists. It's all there. Like, subscribe, share. As I said, good day. Hello everyone, Crafty Andy here, and this is Crafty Arts, where we art. So with the year coming to an end, I figure we'd do something easy, something fun. I am on Amino. I know, Amino. It's a joke. But there is one Amino app that's for Trevor Henderson. Yes, the brilliant creator behind such things as Siren Head, for instance. And I did a painting of Siren Head, posted it on here, and it got quite the stir. So that's what I want to go over real quick. This is amazing. You are so talented. Did you give him a penis? Or more like a pound. I was thinking the same thing. Also, while trying something out from a YouTube video on Rule 34 website, this image is on there. There's 33 images of Siren Head, and I may need to remove my eyes. Yeah, so apparently he does find the added anatomy to this creature so attractive. He wants it to be the very last image that he remembers as he removes his eyes from his skull. Why does Siren Head have a dick? Why does he have a dick? Ew, delete that. Why does his dick? And Cartoon Cat replies, grammar 100.
Why does
That's
his dick?
Also incorrect. Grammar 101. I just noticed his eggplant. Is that what it's called? Sexy alternative for me is what we call the eggplant. I'd rather see a bulge from the erection through some sweats or tight pants. Oh, so yeah, that is completely incorrect. He's not wearing pants. There we go. I'm glad I'm able to help these people out here. Siren Head has a dawn now. How else would he plant his seed? I mean, really, he's a male. It's really good, but why it have a pee-pee?
Where's that pee-pee? We're talking about pee-pee here!
And pee-pee. Lol. Looks great, though. Why is this in there? Oh, a wiener. That's nice. Why is everyone freaking out about a naked creature having genitalia? It's anatomy, not sexual. Get over it. You look at a literal cartoon rip people apart and you can't handle the sight of a penis? Either way, lovely art. 10 out of 10. So why does he have a penis? I'm going to answer this question for all of you. It's because he's a male. And if you ever seen the movie Feast, what's more terrifying than a monster that can eat you? A monster that can eat you and fuck you.
Hey, Green Fox.
Especially a monster that can fuck you and eat you at the same time. So yes. What's going on in the world of crazy?
See how bad does the
You know,
effects
it
in the
doesn't
show
matter
get?
Where you stashed him. I will hunt Lucas down. No, you won't. We won't let you hurt him. We? Who's this? Oh.
Oh, Heather.
I have a baby sister.
Lazy.
Bashir, listen. Iris and I know what your parents did to you. But you can't keep punishing the world for it. Actually, yes.
It's like a Power Rangers villain that hasn't had his costume finished yet. Okay, yeah, that's pretty rough. This is like 90s CG right here.
I don't know if you can hear me, but I'm not afraid of you anymore. What if Alexa's not ready?
Fuerza might be the muscle, but after everything she's been through, I think Alexa might be stronger.
Por favor, Fuerza. Necesito tu ayuda.
Alexa?
And Fuerza. Together.
You are a very big baby sister. Not that it's going to matter.
Oh my god. People wonder why the animated movies are received a lot more fondly.
Yes, I do, Dad. Can't you see we're just trying to help you? Then don't bother. Bashir, listen. Doesn't have to be this way.
Tell him that we're not like his parents, and neither were his friends.
Caleb, Lucas, and the others. They never gave up on you.
It's a lie. All they ever cared about was money.
No, they cared about you more. After your parents died, they started a fund to help you get back on your feet. Iris found bank statements and donation receipts all in your name. Bashir, Adil, Malik. You didn't know because you pushed them away when they reached out.
No. No. Naomi would never help me.
You're right about that. Naomi turned her back on you, so you assumed the others would too, but they didn't. They wanted to help. So do we.
No, there's no way. This can't be true.
No, it is. Don't push us away like you have with everyone else.
No.
You always wanted a real family? Give us a chance. We can be your family.
There is no such thing. You don't know my pain.
You're right, Bashir. They don't. But I do. Because my past is just as dark as yours. I've been clean for 5 years. But when I was at my lowest, I drove away everyone I ever loved. My own parents won't even talk to me anymore. I know what real loneliness feels like. At some point, the walls we build need to come down or they will crush us. And when they do, the people who still want to be there for you, that's real family. That's us.
Continue.
We'll wait for you, Bashir. As long as it takes.
Choice is yours, brother.
I don't know if it's ever going to beat that Supergirl CGI though. With the Leroy Jenkins reference.
Got 2 movies I was able to see over the weekend. I got to see Nightmare Alley, a Guillermo del Toro film. That was pretty fantastic. Found a man who joins a circus and discovers he has a talent or a knack for doing cold readings on people. But then the money starts going to his head, and he has to make a decision to either try to pursue the greed or settle down for a simpler life. Just trying to simplify it without giving it away. Because, it's not just the story, but it's how things happen. Really good acting. Ron Perlman makes an appearance. William Dafoe plays a minor role too. All fun stuff. And I watched an avant-garde horror film called Sador, which is about a demon that's observing this broken family in the woods. And it's basically, the film's like a kind of like just an atmospheric experience. There's no way to describe it other than it's just unsettling. Without it being full of jump scares and hokey music and shit like that. Alright. To feel good now that I actually have a weekend where I can just do some art.
all night. Wish I could have started sooner, but the lawn needed to be mowed and I needed to vacuum and all that stuff. Now today I gotta go to the job. Gotta go to the job to make that money in order to survive. Do what I want to do. Yeah, that's why I wanted to pull up. I want to pull up this dumbass here. That'd be fun to listen to. I don't mind ripping off videos from people who are shitheads. How about someone who thinks that Starship Troopers is the ideal society? I didn't think this video was going to be that long, but okay, well, we'll get into a little bit of it.
At the box office, got mixed reviews at best, left an awkward and confused feeling for many of the viewers who saw it. And it was awesome!
Starship Troopers 1, which is a fucking instant classic. It is a 9 to 10 out of 10 for me.
It's the 20th anniversary of one of my favorite films of all time, Starship Troopers.
When I saw it, it blew my mind. It's kind of funny to think that it was that big of a deal, but I had the poster on my
Yeah, I do find it amusing that the worlds that I'm attracted to, and a lot of my friends and even my husbands are attracted to, are contrary to what we like believe in our everyday lives. Like, I love Judge Dredd, I love Warhammer, I love Starship Troopers, and when it comes down to it, if that were to be like our reality, it's not something we would ever desire. It's not a world you want to live in. I don't know, maybe it's just like the raw simplicity of it all. Like, oh yeah, how do we solve crime? Shoot it in the head with a gun. Judge Dredd style. Yeah, don't worry about due process or anything like that. We'll just let these human beings who are motivated by money or, you know, power, we'll let them decide the fates of citizens right on the spot whenever they find them in violation of some law or whatever that might be arbitrary or out of date. Warhammer is just, you serve the Emperor or you die. You serve Chaos or you die. You question anything, you die. Pretty much in all of them. Superiority complexes are abound in all the species. I guess they even changed one of their good species, which is the Tau. They changed their lore to be more like, I guess, authoritarian in like the Roman Empire or something like that. Really, they just want to like unite everybody, but also at the same time they want to keep the Tau on the as the top game, though. They don't want to risk any other species in the universe to overcome them in some demographic way. Oh yeah, let's get into this. Skip this bullshit. Get it. Get it.
So are all your favorite movie critics actually
Okay, anyone who's not an idiot recognizes that Starship Troopers universe is a fascist universe that you wouldn't want to live in. It's fun in a spectacle sense, with the violence, the guns, the effects that still hold up to this day. Come on. Give me a break. Like, you know what I thought Starship Troopers was like a good influence on me? Thinking about joining the military and everything. I thought that when I was like a teenager, when I was 12, and then I grew up.
Fascists? The answer is yes. All of these content creators are Nazis. It starts by watching one review of Starship Troopers.
There's some
and ends by
sarcasm
watching
there. I get it.
Triumph of the Will. Did you enjoy any of their content? Then you too are a fascist.
After all, I'm not a fascist is exactly what a fascist would say.
Hell, there are even still Starship
Oh my
Troopers
God.
panels at conventions where the actors and their presumably pro-fascist audience reminisce about the film.
I wasn't Johnny Rico before I did Starship Troopers, but there isn't a day that goes by that somebody doesn't. I'm at the gas station, somebody will go, Rico!
So let's grab our dog whistles and take a look at everyone's favorite Nazi laugh
Come on.
fest.
It's so weird. It's so confusing.
No one says that you're a fascist if you like Starship
If you
Troopers,
look
you
around
dumb
the
fuck.
internet, you can easily find many modern interpretations of fascism.
So if you are a
Nazism,
fascist, you
and
probably
they use
love
Mussolini
Starship
and
Troopers for all the
Hitler,
wrong reasons.
adopting the symbols of the fascia and the swastika respectively. You don't see them using Starship Troopers memes. It is, in fact...
Actually, a lot of them are
Nazi
now.
fans using these, and I shall explain why in unnecessary and pedantic detail, because this is a topic I particularly enjoy. So settle in as we travel back 500 years in order to figure out how we are even going to approach examining this topic.
Figuring things out for yourself is the only freedom anyone really has. Use that freedom.
In the late Middle Ages, Europe, Asia, and the Islamic world were burdened with a preponderance of young noblemen who were destined for greatness. To serve this demographic, a particular genre of literature emerged called specula principium in poorly pronounced Latin, or mirrors for princes in English. These were, broadly speaking, self-help books for aspiring rulers on how to rule. In Europe, these books drew from classical Greek and Roman authors, filtered through the lens of contemporary Christian theologians, to instruct any would-be princes on Christian morals. An example of this is Education of a Christian Prince by Erasmus, published in 1516.
I don't give a shit about
The purpose
Christian
was to
morals,
teach
buddy.
the prince right from wrong in statecraft and instruct them in contemporary moral standards as to how things should be in a proper Christian realm. In 1532, a work by a Florentine...
Yeah, I'm sure it involves in
was
eliminating
famously
every
published.
contrarian
Principe,
belief
the
system
sovereign,
too.
more commonly mistranslated into English as The Prince by Niccolo Machiavelli.
Oh my God,
The Prince was the
Sargon.
most
Fuck.
military with a formal hierarchy accurate, where Marx envisaged socialism to be the collective ownership of the means of production and communism to be a stateless, classless, propertyless, borderless society. Roddenberry's Star Trek Federation is a vision of a post-scarcity liberal order, complete with the state, the Federation, that imposes law and order, a military with a formal hierarchy and defined borders against other states. Private property is commonplace. Kirk's family owned a farm, Sisko's family owned a restaurant, Picard's family owned a vineyard, Quark owned a bar. Star Trek isn't the communist utopia, it's a liberal utopia for the moral idealist.
We're a strange combination. We're about half animal, and we're about half God, is in my opinion. The human being.
No,
has got
human
his
beings are just
toes
all animal.
in the mud.
That's okay.
And his heart and soul high in the heavens. But that the mud is important. It is the mud between our toes that allows us to dance. And we must be all of them.
Done bugging out, GoPro.
In
Thank you.
Star
I'll
Trek,
continue my
it is
work.
the propertyless, classless monomind that is the Borg that represents communism, not the Federation. The flip side of this coin is Robert Heinlein's Starship Troopers. Heinlein described a highly meritocratic liberal order, like Star Trek, based on a federation with an accountable hierarchy, a rule of law, and military borders and private property. Although it's worth stressing that in both universes, Earth is a world state, and border states by other alien races. The difference between Heinlein and Roddenberry is that where Roddenberry was a soft-hearted idealist, Heinlein was a hard-hearted realist. And so Heinlein's interpretation of such a future is...
Heinlein's authorship in Starship Troopers, he joined the military, and then he didn't even serve like a year before he got discharged due to medical issues. So he never saw combat. He never saw any of the stresses and heartaches a lot of soldiers go through. He just got full of the vitriol and vigor and propaganda and, you know, be all you can be stuff. So no wonder why the book turned out the way it did, glorifying military procedures and training that actually causes people to die so they could weed out the supposed weak of their flock before they go to war against some imposing threat.
Stern and unflinching in its application, instead of Roddenberry's sensitive and moralistic interpretation.
I'd expect anyone in this unit to do the same for me.
A surprisingly large amount of literature has been written about science fiction author Robert Heinlein, because not only was he a popular pulp science fiction writer, he was an intellectual and active politician. While Heinlein's political views shifted towards the libertarian right during the course of his career,
No surprise there.
He was a left-wing, anti-communist liberal. As such, he had a firm commitment to individualism that reflects in all of his work. He was an active Democrat and took part in the End Poverty in California movement, and even campaigned for socialist candidate Upton Sinclair's failed bid for the governor of California in 1934. In 1938, Heinlein made his own unsuccessful bid for a seat in the California State Assembly. He became a published author in 1939 after being discharged from the Navy with pulmonary tuberculosis. Heinlein wrote fiction to pay the bills, and after failing as a politician, used his fiction to promote his politics. Starship Troopers is less a science fiction novel than it is a vehicle for Heinlein's political vision, in the same way as Atlas Shrugged is for Ayn Rand's philosophy of objectivism. Heinlein's liberal beliefs permeate the entire novel. For
Fucking
example,
Ayn Rand.
at the beginning of
Give me
each
a break.
chapter, Heinlein begins with a quotation from authors such as Thomas Paine, Rudyard Kipling, Thomas Jefferson, and Winston
It's just a promotion of this idea that we live in a meritocracy.
Gentili, Benito Mussolini, Adolf Hitler, or Joseph Goebbels. Heinlein held liberal
That's why that's why when I made a comic book, it just took off, you know. I put the effort into it.
Focused around a single world government, and so naturally the characters in his stories would come from different racial backgrounds. In Starship Troopers, for example, Johnny Rico is actually Juan Rico, a Filipino man, and of course, in the film, he's from Buenos Aires.
Oh, Johnny, it's us.
Buenos Aires has been wiped off the earth.
At the end of another of Heinlein's books, For Us the Living, there is a detailed explanation of Heinlein's political opinions by Dr. Robert James of Culver City, California, apparently something of a scholar on Heinlein, given his encyclopedic knowledge of Heinlein's life and personality. I was unable to track down any further information on Dr. James, but according to him, Heinlein famously had a dual life. In public, he and his wife were the perfect, polite couple. In private, they entertained an open marriage and were both known to be promiscuous. Heinlein's desire to promote the liberal idea of a separation of public and private life is a running theme throughout his entire corpus, and doubtless intertwines with the way he led his own life. And although his views became more right-wing as he grew older, James describes them as consistent.
Well, because he couldn't get laid as much anymore, so he became more conservative.
If any, between a civilian and a citizen.
You know, your public life, your private life, whatever. It only matters is if your public life is a contradiction to your private life. That's all that matters. That's the only time it really matters. Like this one guy I was writing about for the next video this week, Madison Cawthorn, who's essentially a closeted homosexual who's anti-gay, anti-trans, and promotes ideas like this in these movies, saying that we need to raise a generation of monsters. And this guy's in a wheelchair, and he's a politician that wants to be a representative for the United States. I'm just thinking, like, what does a generation of monsters do to a guy in a wheelchair, I wonder? Might put you in some institution or something, or just kick you down the stairs. Fuck. Where are we here? Starship Troopers universe. I already know what that is, so we can just probably skip through that mostly. It's a fascist society that you have to serve the military first before you even are considered a citizen. You have to go through that meat grinder. They're always at war, seeking undesirables, anyone who questions the government. The war with the bugs start because of the invasion of their territory by by humans. And rather than figure out some way to communicate, especially when they find out that there's a brain bug or smart bug, they just use that as like a means to try to kill them further. Ooh, there's a bug that thinks. Kill it. So ridiculous. It sucks because it like almost ruins the movie for people when you have people like this.
Only the night.
Generation for a term of not less than 2 years and as much longer as may be required by the needs of the service. I swear to uphold and defend.
Oh god, fuck that.
Of course, the
mandatory course that almost every school offers, called History and Moral Philosophy, the course in which Johnny Rico is instructed by Radchek, who expounds Heinlein's ideas on philosophy at length in sections of the book. This course has no examination to pass, and functionally serves primarily as a method for Heinlein to explain his political views in no uncertain terms. Rico's father believed that Radchek was brainwashing his son into federal service, but Rico describes it in reverse, saying that
Radchek had a snotty, superior manner. He acted as if none of us was really good enough to volunteer for service.
There should be a law against using a school as a recruiting station.
No, Radchek doesn't do that at all. He sort of discourages you.
Heinlein clearly had a burning hatred of communism and rebukes it as often as he can. For example, by deconstructing Marxist theory.
All the teachers in the movie are like maimed or disfigured in some way. Science teacher's blind. Philosophy teacher's has one arm. The recruiting officer only has no legs.
By corollary, unskillful work can easily subtract value. An untalented cook.
But the glory of serving the military is supposed to like override all that shit.
Valuable already into an inedible mess. Value 0. Conversely, a great chef can fashion of those same materials a confection of greater value than a commonplace apple tart, with no more effort than an ordinary cook uses to prepare an ordinary sweet. These kitchen illustrations.
Why don't we have people come out and say that the RoboCop universe is an ideal libertarian situation we should live in or strive for?
Communism derives. And to illustrate the truth of the common sense.
Private police and military, fantastic.
Heinlein goes on to describe.
May the best weapons dealer win.
The disheveled old mystic of Das Kapital, turgid, tortured, confused, a neurotic, unscientific, illogical, pompous fraud.
The Starship Troopers universe is essentially a libertarian power fantasy in which society has greatly expanded to dwarf the size of the state, which in this case is the Federation, the world state, a unique legal incorporation operating as a constitutional republic and run with the kind of hyper-efficiency usually associated with the military to ensure minimal burden of taxation on the public. Citizenship is not necessary for a prosperous life. In the book, Rico's father calls citizenship a meaningless vanity, and instead wants him to study business at Harvard with the expectation that Rico would become a businessman. The peace, wealth, and stability of Earth is why Rico's father openly opposes federal service, describing it as...
Now, how do you have a functional government? How do you have a functional infrastructure if there's no fucking like taxes or public services?
Living on the taxpayers, a decidedly expensive way for inferior people who otherwise would be unemployed to live at the public expense for a term of years, then give themselves heirs for the rest of their lives.
Rico's family is wealthy.
Read that again.
For the rest of their lives. Inferior...
Rico's father openly opposes federal service, describing it as...
parasitism, pure and simple, a functionless organ, utterly obsolete. living on the taxpayers, a decidedly expensive way for inferior people
Oh, some of the
who otherwise would
military.
be unemployed
Inferior?
to live at the public expense for a term of years, then give themselves heirs for the rest of their lives.
That just sounded like the
Rico's
argument against
family
like
is
welfare
wealthy.
and stuff.
We are told that they have not sullied themselves with politics for over 100 years, and his father is planning an interstellar vacation as an incentive to push Rico towards business, instead of following his own personal goals towards service.
How about a trip to the Outer Rings? Zagama Beach, huh?
Always wanted to go there.
I've always wanted to go there.
Starship Troopers is what a bourgeois liberal society would look like if people took their citizenship seriously. The very purpose of citizenship in Heinlein's Federation is to earn the sovereign franchise, the right to vote and take part directly in political life. It is democratic in form and function. The only particular difference between Heinlein's democracy and modern democracy is the question of suffrage. In Heinlein's democracy, suffrage is restricted until a civilian chooses to endure the ordeal of becoming a citizen. The franchise is not inherited as a birthright, it is earned. Although Heinlein is very clear about the constitutional right of every civilian to have the opportunity to become a citizen.
Everybody, male or female, shall have his born right to pay his service and assume full citizenship.
As one fleet sergeant describes, most people are not
Gross.
fit for elite.
It just sounds like you would have a bunch of powerful people deciding how
We've had to
your
think
fates,
up a list
really.
of dirty, nasty, dangerous jobs that will have them run home with their tails between their legs and their terms uncompleted, or make them remember for the rest of their lives that their citizenship is valuable because they paid a high price for it.
So in order to demand their right to citizenship, when Rico is examined by civilian doctors, one explains to him that
if you came in here in a wheelchair and blind in both eyes and were silly enough to insist on enrolling, they would find something silly enough to match.
What the fuck's going on with my
The
GoPro now?
only way you can fail is by having the psychiatrists decide that you are not able to understand the oath.
the civilian doctor repudiates citizenship as a nominal political privilege that most aren't competent enough to use. After giving his oath, Johnny Rico comments that
it made me realize I was no longer a civilian, with my shirt tail out and nothing on my mind.
There is no compulsion to serve the state, and none of the civilians act like there is. The civilian is not under the authority of the Terran Federation beyond the law, and serving the required 2 years to earn the vote is voluntary. In fact, participation in federal service requires informed, indeed persistent consent, and in fact remarkable willpower, as we see as a constant theme throughout the films and book in the various social and systemic attempts to get the civilian to
Quit! You start from 1248, you grab your gear, you take a stroll down Washout Lane!
There are no punishments or penalties for quitting, other than you may not apply to become a citizen again, and must forever remain a civilian.
Do you get me?
You can leave at any time, and you are, in fact, encouraged to do so. So why does the franchise have to be earned?
It's a reward.
How would you prevent a mega corporation for just taking over? You know, considering we have like 3-5 companies that control our food, a handful of companies that control our media. How would you control that? Keep them from just taking over entirely. How would the free market decide on that? And if they require all this shit for becoming a citizen, would you even have any power as a citizen once you get it? Or would you still be relegated to, you know, picking a new boss that's essentially the same as the old boss every election period or whatever? How much say would you actually have in politics and decisions as far as like policy goes and what the taxes are used for? There's so many things that are wrong.
No. Something given has no value.
Heinlein answers this question through Radcheck during a history and moral philosophy
God damn it,
lecture.
GoPro, what the
There is an
fuck?
old song which asserts that the best things in
Yeah, no
life
shit, it
are free.
failed.
Not true. Utterly false. This was the tragic fallacy which brought on the decadence and collapse of the democracies of the 20th century. Those noble experiments failed because the people had been led to believe they could simply vote for whatever they wanted and get it. Without toil, without sweat, without tears.
Well, you gotta convince the
Nothing
people,
of
other people to
value is
vote with
free.
you. What the fuck?
Even the breath of life
What sense
is
does that make?
purchased at birth through only gasping effort and pain.
In Heinlein's view, to make the citizens aware of the value of their citizenship is to instill within them
Son
a
of a
deep sense
bitch.
of civic virtue. For your
It's gonna
citizenship
record
to
or what?
matter, you must earn it, and that you earn it imbues it with scarcity, which gives it value.
Naked force has resolved more issues throughout history than any other factor. The contrary opinion, that violence never
Hold on.
is wishful thinking at its worst. People who forget that always pay.
How many?
In the novel, Heinlein is describing nothing that falls outside of the current modern theoretical understanding of the democratic state. However, Heinlein is frequently criticized for promoting a social Darwinist view of society as a struggle for survival based on military strength. One of the negative lessons it's commonly claimed that Rico has repeatedly taught is that violence can be an effective method for settling conflict. So let's have a frank talk about violence by describing things as they are, as Machiavelli might, instead of describing things as we should prefer them, as Erasmus.
Oh yeah, it's 9 o'clock. I gotta wrap things up.
Violence.
It might be fun to go more into this later, but yeah. Good night. Thanks for coming by.